When Nevermind blew up the way it did it catch you off guard, or was there anybody expecting it to take off like that?
Nobody was expecting it to take off like that. We knew they were a good band, but nobody was expecting Smells Like Teen Spirit to take off like it did. And that was one of the songs they had not demoed before. I had heard the demos that they did of some of the songs with Chad Channing. Kurt gave me a copy of it. They demoed some of the songs for Nevermind while Chad was still in the band. So this would have been, 1990, when they were trying to get a deal to get off Sub Pop and get onto a bigger label. They were handing out cassettes of some of that material because they somehow convinced Sub Pop to send them out to record with Butch Vig while Chad was in the band. And they didn't record a full album. I think Sub Pop thought they were making the follow-up to Bleach. Mm-hmm. But they only recorded 6 or 7 tunes.
8 songs.
I think
this was April of 1990. They did this in Madison, Wisconsin.
Yes, they did 8 songs, not all of which ended up on Nevermind, because I think Sappy was one of them, and maybe there was another one that didn't get used. But they ended up using that as a demo to shop to try and get off of Sub Pop. And they gave me a copy of it. I had a cassette of it, actually. There it is. The song's pretty much arranged like they are on Nevermind. I think one of them has a different title and lyrics. It might be Pay to Play. I think that became Stay Away. So that one changed. But otherwise, they were much the same. That was as much as I knew. They did not record Smells Like Teen Spirit on those demos. That was a newer song. So I don't know if Dave Grohl is actually playing Chad Channing's drum parts on Smells Like Teen Spirit, because I don't know if there ever was a version with Chad. You'd have to ask Chad that question.
I don't think there was. I think you're right about that.
Yeah. But yeah, when they made it big, it was pretty exciting because, everybody knew, okay, this is the band from Seattle that knocked Michael Jackson off the #1 spot on the album chart. Yeah. When has that happened before to a Seattle band? You have to remember, at the time, we did have other bands, and the Seattle explosion was underway. We had major label albums already in existence from Soundgarden. I think Soundgarden was on their second major label record at that point, which was Bad Motorfinger. Pearl Jam was just coming out. Alice in Chains was about to have their second record. Screaming Trees had been signed. I don't know if the Sweet Oblivion had been released yet. Not Sweet Oblivion. It was Uncle Anesthesia was the first Screaming Trees major label record. But sometime around that period, we had a bunch of Seattle bands all getting signed and making major label albums. And it was Nevermind that went to the head of the pack. But they were not the only Seattle band that was part of the signing frenzy that was making waves at that time. Mm-hmm. These other bands had sort of prepared the way, if you will. Set the scene, softened everybody up for the idea of Seattle rock bands being on the album charts. So, and, Mudhoney came along got signed around the same time. So did Tad, with varying results. Mudhoney did make 1, 2, 3 major label records, I believe.
I'm not sure.
Something like that. I did the middle one, which was My Brother the Cow. And then they've been happily on Sub Pop after that. So
just in terms of the community here, from what I understand, kind of in the late 80s, early 90s, there was a feeling that if anybody was going to really blow up, it was going to be Mudhoney. Is this correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so when it was Nirvana, what was the reaction in the scene here?
People were pretty delighted, actually, because the idea was it couldn't happen to a nicer bunch of guys, mm-hmm. And, Mudhoney, frankly, they would not argue with this. They weren't doing anything that you could really call commercial in the sense of what was happening mm-hmm. on the radio at that time or since or before. Mudhoney is not an overtly commercial enterprise, mm-hmm. And was never intended to be overtly pop music. Mudhoney is Mudhoney. It's its own thing. Nirvana, for what it's worth, was attempting to do something a little more simple, direct songwriting, pop melodies, with punk rock muscle behind it. So there was kind of a punk rock aesthetic going on. I don't know. I can't really explain this. I think I just explained it as best I can. Mudhoney was not trying to write hits. In fact, I think they would laugh at you. So Mudhoney did save Sub Pop from bankruptcy. That is true. Because Mudhoney was becoming very big, and to this day they could tour anytime they want to and come back with money. And I will point out, they have survived alive and healthy and unscathed for 30 years, which is that's a worthy accomplishment, to still have your health and your songwriting ability and your artistic credibility. After going through all that, I got to give it to Mudhoney for sticking it out. And Nirvana was more like a giant meteor flaming across the sky, you know.
Didn't you have vocals on Spank Through at some point in time?
There is a version of Spank Through. I don't think it's been released, unless I'm tripping, because we did do a version of Spank Through. We did do a version of Spank Through in the Bleach recording sessions, or really during the summer before Bleach, but it was with Chad. There is a version of Spank Through with Chad on drums. I don't know if it's been released or not. It's been bootlegged everywhere. And yes, actually, the opening verse of the song originally had a talking vocal underneath Kurt's singing vocal. He sings, "There's a soft, relentless mountain," or whatever. I don't remember the exact words. And I remember when we were doing it, of course, Dale wasn't there, and Kurt said, "Oh, you do the talk part." I said, "Okay." So you're right. I think I am doing the talk vocal under that. And I might also be playing tambourine on that, or on some song. It seems to me I'm playing tambourine on something from some session. I don't remember anyway. Too much time has passed. But you're right. I am actually doing the talk vocal on that. I just don't know if anyone's ever bothered to release it.
That's interesting. So the version of Spank Through on Sub Pop 200, that's a different version than the
No, that is the version. Okay, it did get released. All right. Yes, okay. That's the version. Sorry, I couldn't think of it on any Nirvana release. I forgot about Sub Pop 200. Yes, that's the version with Chad. And yes, I am on backing vocals on that.
So I guess you could technically say you were a Nirvana vocalist. Technically.
I don't believe anyone has ever said that. And I don't think anyone ever will. Backing vocalist at best, you know. Okay.
That's better than 99.9% of the rest of us.
Thanks for watching, guys. If you like what you see, make sure to subscribe for more. All the videos on this channel are original. I'm the one conducting all the interviews and editing all the videos together. So if you guys like what you see and you want to support, the best way to do so is honestly just to subscribe. Lots more to come.